I'm interviewing Helen. She is the older adult oral video presentation that I'm going to be referring to in Human Behavior in a Social Environment, Social Work 501. We're looking at development stage of Erikson's. We're looking at stage 8, ego, integrity versus despair. That lasts from late adulthood for 65 until her death. In this area, we look at people in older age reflect on their life and take inventory of their successes to see where they excelled and what they failed upon. Others who are satisfied with their accomplishments have peace and a sense of well-being. Those who are not have a sense of despair and mourn for lost opportunities. Who is Helen? Helen was born in 1917. She was born during the Depression, and she was raised with 5 brothers and sisters, which all went to school. But at 8th grade, her dad pulled her out of school and didn't want her to go back to school. So in 8th grade, that's the highest form of education that she had gotten being raised by her parents. They moved from Whitehall over to Greenfield, where we live, and met Neil. Got married. They had 2 children. And of course, she was raised in the church, so it was something that she was very adamant and wanted other people in her life to have God in their life. They also started babysitting for other children in the family or in the community. She started watching one child, and that grew from one child to a lot of children. And she had issues with her husband. She fell and got his knee hurt. She was trying to take care of him at their home, but at 78, it's really hard for an older person to take care of the spouse, especially when they're up quite a bit. So they moved Neil to a nursing home. Not too much longer after that, in 1996, Neil passed away. In 6 months, she lost her other son, Warren, and then all of her brothers and sisters passed away in a 6-month period. In 2018, in April, she turned 100. She's a very happy woman. She loves the children she's watching. She's a good grandparent. She is a very happy woman. The next part of ego, integrity versus despair, I love the wording of this article. It says, success in this stage will lead to the virtue of wisdom. Wisdom enables a person to look back on their life with a sense of closure and completeness, and also accept death without fear. Wise people are not characterized by a continuous state of ego, integrity, but they experience both ego, integrity, and despair. Thus, late life is characterized by both integrity and despair as alternating states that need to be balanced. And that came from McLeod, and I just love the way it's worded on this. The next part, we're looking at what happened in her life that has to do with ego, integrity, and despair. In this area, she loses her spouse and her son, and her 5 brothers and sisters. Due to a miscommunication with her other son, he doesn't speak to her anymore, and that really hurts her severely. But you can only do so much. The acceptance of one's one and only life cycle as something that has to be in a sense of coherence and wholeness. So with that, she has resiliency. She is able to cope with stress despite threatening circumstances and recovering from misfortune and adversity. All the people that she has lost, she has outlived her brothers and sisters. She lost her friends. She has outlived her husband and son. It's very hard. It's very tragic to lose all those people in one, especially in a 6-month period. But after that, she started working with children. She didn't really have a job, but now she was going to start watching some children. They referred to her as Mama Honey, and all the kids called her Mama Honey. That's her new job after her husband and son passed away. They're trying to use that to get her back out in the community. She's been adopted by all these families, and now, after all these years, Mama Honey's children are now bringing their own children to her to watch. So at 78 plus years old, she's still watching children. She's just now starting to relax in that area. And this is what she's looking at, new coping skills such as self-management, developing a comprehensive sense of wisdom by developing mature forms of the psychological achievements that they made throughout the life course. In our annotated bibliography, I read something called Family, Social Life, and Well-Being at Older Ages. This is hard for Helen, as she has outlived everyone in her life. Families are the most important part of those who are aging, and being around family enhances their daily life. And of course, she has outlived the people in her family. So now she's making new friends, because actually she's other friends that she had, they're gone. Now this is something that she is lonely. It could endanger her health, because being lonely, it's hard to make friends and it's hard for her to put herself out there, to have people stop by and see her and things like that. But because her church family, she has people that want to help her. She had adopted others to be included in her family now. Larry is a very important part. After her son passed away, she adopted Larry to be in her family, and he takes care of her and she takes care of him. It's very sweet. Psychological crisis resolution, on psychological development. Crises are new psychological efforts to adjust the demands of the social environment. These are normal stressors. This is everyday life that comes at you from every angle. But they develop positive qualities that allow for growth and support in the exploration of self and the environment. And these crises was a loss of her husband, son, and brothers and sisters, and created a turmoil in her life. So, because of what happened, she was widowed at 78 years old. But because she was a God-fearing woman, she used that support system to get her through the crisis that she was facing. She was only went to school until the 8th grade, as we talked about before. Now, in that time, her husband was usually older. She was 12 years older, and they came from one small town to another, and they weren't wealthy, but they weren't poor either. They were just right in the middle class. Because of this crisis, she also had to learn management skills, how to take care of a house without a partner, new coping skills with the loss of her son, and friends, family, and sisters, brothers. And of course, as I talked about, she had to make new friends because she's pretty much outlived everyone else. Because of that, she is now getting involved with the church. She spends a lot of time with her loved ones, especially their adopted children that she calls her adopted son or family. And she attends other family outings as well. So in the psychological crisis resolution, the biopsychosocial is a systematic approach that breaks down the human behavior into various components such as biological, psychological, and social functioning. In this biopsychosocial model is family circumstances. She has to deal with her son who is not speaking to her. And because of that, she is lonely. Her son will not speak to her. And to me, that's a really hard lesson to learn. And the more she tries to talk to him, the more she calls him, the less he doesn't want to speak to her. And of course, with her husband and other son has passed away, she's very lonely. So this is one of the biopsychosocial models that she is facing. And still today, she's still facing that. Church and caring for other children. She is always a God woman. She's a woman of God. She helps out in the church, but now she's leaning on the support from the church. She needs a little bit more help. She needs a little bit more time to get to church. And of course, she's like a wonderful woman to help out. She is embracing babysitting and caring for other children in her community. Now, she does this to fill the void of missing her husband and her son. And especially in the one that doesn't speak to her, that's another loss for her as well. She goes to community events for the children in her care. She still goes out to see ball games and plays and things like that. That's very important to her. The next thing is Kübler-Ross's theory of death and dying. At that time, losing her family and her brothers and sisters in a very short amount of time, she was facing a lot of death. The maturity about Kübler-Ross's theory tells us what the personality, the sense of identity, maturity, and self-esteem. It also shows social and gender roles. They perceive a relationship with the deceased. So as a woman, it's hard to sometimes come back with a husband's death. It depends on what your values are and beliefs in her life. Coping patterns, the way she deals with death, the mode of death. It was sudden, it was an accident, cancer, anything like that. What about the availability of support and the number of losses? At her age, people have passed away, and the